Go. Hello, everyone. Well, watching Frontstretch, welcome to the Charlotte Motor Speedway ROVAL. I'm Steven Stumpf. He is Chase Folsom, and he is here for his first ever NASCAR Cup race with Frontstretch. We are here after the 32nd race of the season, 109 laps around this 2.2-mile road course. And at the end of the day, it was AJ Allmendinger scoring his third career win in dominating fashion. He led 46 of 109 laps. He held off six-time winner this season, William Byron, to take the checkered flag on a final 10-lap shootout to decide the race. And when you consider his 4 straight wins in the Xfinity Series at this track, this is now the 5th straight year that he's won a NASCAR race at the Charlotte ROVAL. It's clearly his wheelhouse. Chase, he visited us in the media center after celebrating. What did he have to say, and what did Matt Collick and Chris Rice also have to say?
Yeah, as you know, AJ's never short on passion. He's never short on emotion. He showed that today after he won. He went to the grandstands, and when he was talking about that, he said, I will never not be excited for a win because you never know when your last is. I'll never be at a point when I say, oh yeah, I won, whatever, move on to the next one. And he made sure to also note that Matt Collick and Chris Rice, when they signed him to Collick Racing, he said saved his career. Had he retired post JTG Racing, he said there always would have been that misery knowing that he wanted to do more with his career, but they allowed him to do the things that he wanted to do that he never previously accomplished. He's won on every type of oval in an Xfinity car now. He now has 3 Cup wins, including in Indianapolis, and now 5 straight years winning here. So he was very grateful to them for that. And then further, Chris Rice and Matt Collick, they were asked multiple times actually what AJ's status would be for next year and what the team's status would be for next year, including regarding Chandler Smith. And pretty much every answer we got was, wait for the announcement, we know what we're doing. So, sounds like Collick has their plans set in place. They just don't want to tell the public yet. But overall, AJ was really excited after today's win.
Yeah, just a matter of waiting for that announcement. And indeed, this was Collick's second Cup win. Obviously, win number 1 came in 2021 at the Indianapolis Road Course, when AJ won after Hamlin and Briscoe got together there while battling at the finish. And outside of AJ's huge win, the biggest storyline heading in today is that this is the round of 12 elimination race. 4 drivers were sent home. 8 will advance the round of 8 to, eventually hope to vie for the championship for Phoenix. Kyle Busch was entered the race the lowest on the cut line. He was basically in a must-win. He had probably the closest ability to try and win the race, make something happen. Obviously, yesterday we saw Sam Mayer go from below the cut line to win in dominating fashion. Busch fell just a little bit short. He qualified 5th. He ran top 5 all day. He ended up the day in 3rd, but just not enough for Byron and Allmendinger at the end. But at the same time, it was a much-needed run for the 8 team as they record their first top 5 finish since July. Now, the other 3 that missed were Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, and Brad Keselowski. Chasey talked to a few of them. What did they have to say?
Yeah, well, I think coming into this, those 3 guys were kind of the guys everybody had circled as most likely being out. So it's not necessarily a surprise that they were out. But Bubba Wallace had enough speed to make it. And he was extremely disappointed after the incident on the back straightaway heading into the chicane when Suarez got into Cindric, which turned Bubba around. NASCAR said he had to stop on the front straightaway, and he was very vocal about the fact that he doesn't like that rule because he got wrecked. He didn't blow the chicane got blown for it. And his words to describe the rule were colorful, to say the least, and he wasn't very appreciative of the fact that it'll never change because NASCAR seems to like the entertainment value of it. As for Ross, they didn't really have the speed today. He really just reflected on the fact that the mistake at Talladega was his fault, and he has to live with the fact that that's why they're out. And I didn't get a chance to catch up with Brad, but they just never really seemed to have a car today that was capable of competing at the front, like Reddick did, who came in just 2 points behind.
Yeah, Keselowski, I believe, was the one above the cut line. He missed out just barely. Obviously, road courses haven't been completely strong for him in a while. Even then, he still did put up a pretty solid effort today, given the circumstances, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. On the other hand, we had, other drivers survive elimination. Obviously, Blaney and Byron were both locked in. Martin Truex Jr. has not recorded a top 10 finish since Watkins Glen in August, but with a bunch of stage points today and scoring a bunch of using the playoff points he accumulated before, he's still in the round of 8, with a chance. And for them, it's just a matter of trying to reset. Reddick, as Chase mentioned, entered below the cut. He entered below the cut, but he had probably one of the best cars. He won stage 1. He got 17 stage points, and had there been no stage cautions, he might have been one of the best cars because, again, he managed to claw his way back to 6th in a race that's been pretty hard to pass at. Behind them, Bell looked to be strong early until a mid-race caution kind of put him in the back with pit strategy. He finished 15th. Hamlin, same thing. He got put in the back, then he spun and finished last after crash damage from a collision, and so on. Obviously, plenty of drivers that moved on, plenty that didn't. But it's gonna be a fun round of 8, and then obviously Kyle Larson was also very close on the cut. They crashed in practice. He had to go to the backup car. He ended the day in 13th, so he moves on as well. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. I don't know what to expect in the last 4 races of the season. And then another one of the storylines outside of today was there was a stage 2. At the end of stage 2, there was a wreck between Corey LaJoie and Josh Bilicki that turned some of the strategy upside down. Is because Chase Elliott, Bell, Hamlin, and all the other cars that were in front at the time, they were potentially planning to pit before the end of the stage 2, but the caution trapped them out. They were forced to win the stage, but then they lost all their track position once it went back green a few laps later. But Bilicki over the radio was very frustrated with LaJoie. When I talked to him after the race, he said that it's basically the 3rd time that he's had to run into the Spire car, and that it feels like there's a target on his back. So, potentially something to watch going forward between the two.
The one thing I really noticed about it is that a lot of times there's no really inside or outside. I guess the leader usually chose the right lane, which puts you on the inside of the first part of the chicane, on the outside coming to the start-finish line. And a lot of times that put the car on the left side of the front row at a really big disadvantage. I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing, because it's always a good thing for the leader to have the advantage on a restart. And I think it probably prevented a lot of pile-ups in turn 1 that we would have seen had we had the old restart zone. So I think overall the new restart zone was a success, and it's going to get more likes than dislikes. But other than that, we head to the round of 8. Steven, do you have any round of 8 predictions for us?
That's a tough one. I think just Byron finishes a first, second in this round. He won at Vegas. He already has the most playoff points in the bank heading into the reset. I think he has to make it to the Championship 4, and I'd say he's the outright favorite, especially since he won Phoenix. I think the next 3 tracks also suit Larson very well. He won at Martinsville. He dominated Homestead last year. Also is going to win Vegas this year until a caution at the very end shuffled it up. I'd say that he made it through. I'd say he's going to be there as well. Beyond that, I think it's going to be Hamlin. He's also, despite finishing last today, he's also turned it on in the playoffs a ton. And then for the last pick, I'm going to go with Chris Buescher. He already has a decent amount of playoff points in the bank, and RFK has continued to get better and impress. So I think he will be the 4th driver to join them at the championship tour.
I think I'm going to say Byron is definitely the favorite right now. Over the past year or so in the next-gen car, Larson's been really fast at all 3 of those tracks. So I think he's got a really good shot to make it in. I definitely think Denny's probably got a pretty good shot too. One guy I think is in trouble is Mark Truex Jr. They have not been fast at all since they were really fast up until the playoffs started. As soon as the green flag flew at Darlington, the 19 team has never shown up. So they're going to have to find a way to show up. They weren't that great at Vegas earlier in the spring, if I remember correctly. They finished good at Martinsville, but they ran a lot of that race multiple laps down. They got saved by the wheel falling off of, I don't remember which car it was. It might have been the 77 car, but that caution, when they stayed out, that saved them and allowed them to get a good finish. So they're going to have to turn things around going into the round of 8 if they want any shot at making it to Phoenix. And I think Blaney might be a long shot because Penske's shown some speed at Vegas, and he was fast at Homestead last year before he had the shifting error coming off pit road. So it'll be interesting to see I'm sure it'll be fun as always to watch the cut line when we get down to Martinsville. We won't see a Hail Melon this year, but we might see something new.
Indeed. Obviously, Las Vegas is next. 1.5 mile tracks generally haven't disappointed this year. It's going to be an exciting race. We'll have a new front stretch crew then. Until now from Charlotte, I'm Steven, he's Chase, and we will see you next time.
This is Harrison Burton, driver the number 21. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, check out one of these two videos beside me. Visit frontstretch.com for more racing content.